What's up, guys? Welcome back. We've slowed a little bit recently with work on the Nova, but we're heating back up with the weather. It's beautiful out today. Took long enough. We've been working on the motor a little bit. Blocks all stripped down, working on cleaning it up, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. On the car front, so I have parts, which we'll talk about, but what we started doing is I started to pull the cross rail off this thing, and that's what I'm going to be doing now. So we cut the sort of the meat of it out. You can see there, just to get a look behind it. And I mean, this thing was pretty. It was like rotten down in here, where it kind of goes up and arches where the filler net comes. Leftover pieces there. I mean, that was pretty well rotten. So was the upper filler piece behind it. I mean, it was just Swiss cheese. It was soft. It was not going to do a whole lot. But what I wanted to look at were these fill-in pieces right here. So these, for those of you who don't know, are a separate piece. On AMD, at least they're only about 18 bucks. They're not too bad. But there are two extra pieces on this thing that I didn't know of until I did some deeper digging. There's this here mimicked on this side right here. And it's hard to see. Hopefully I can get a better look when I take it out. In here, back up a little, in here between the cross rail and I don't know if it's the edge of the quarter panel or the actual trunk drop off, there's some kind of filler transition piece that goes in here. So if you're doing a cross rail, don't forget about that, because that could bite you. It might not be that important, but two of those and then two of the sort of the internal braces for this. So recently I bought some sheet metal. I wasn't recently, a couple months ago now. I bought some sheet metal, and if you can ever buy stuff on Marketplace used, somewhere that you can drive to, somewhere where you can get a good look at it before you hand over your money, highly recommend it, because you can get some good deals that way. What I ended up doing was, guy local to me about an hour away had this trunk lid, which I was on the fence about changing, but my old one was full of rust. When you opened it, you could hear it, sloshing around. The keyhole had been the lock hole there had been all butchered. This one is pretty well mint and brand new, in Eco. It just sat outside on a vehicle, not painted. And Eco, for those of you who don't know, has no UV protection, will just fade away. But it's a nice piece, much better than what was on there. And then this was the big haul. We got a trunk floor, two trunk drop-offs. This one had been mocked up, just held on with sheet metal screws, so it's got some holes in it, but it's still new. Two outer wheel houses, and then one stock inner. That's just what he had. The other one he had cut apart and screwed with, and it wasn't really usable anymore. So that's what we picked up, and that's what we're trying to get towards fitting up on this thing. But my theory is that if I can get the cross rail off of here clean, and then clean up, because I'm gonna guess, I think it's right in here. This is where the rear or the frame rails mate to the cross rail, is right about here on both sides. If I can get all of this off, which just sits underneath the trunk floor, and you can kind of see the spot weld seam there, get that off clean, and then get the new one here with all the filler pieces and the cross rail, the filler piece, and then all the additional pieces all on there and fit up, then I'll have the rear end tied together so that when I take the rest of it apart, because it's all mated together, obviously the trunk floor sits on top of the frame rails. If I get the cross rail on, it'll tie the frame rails together. When you cut everything off there, it loses some of its support. There's less of a chance of stuff moving. So that's the plan. I'm going to blast off the rear of that, and I'll bring you guys back right quick when we can take a look at how bad the frame rails actually are, because this will be, I'm going to call it step 2 of the 3-step process of making sure I don't need new frame rails. I've acted like I don't the whole time. I'm still hoping to stick to that, and as long as this step and then taking the trunk floor out and seeing just how bad it is underneath there, as long as that goes well, we're going to stick with what we got. So let me blast that off, and we'll come back and have a look. All right, so I've had a bit of a change of plans, and I honestly debated on just restarting this video and pretending like this is my plan all along. But one, who am I trying to impress? But two, I do think it could be helpful if you're like me and you haven't been doing this for your entire life. One of the things that I struggled with early on was, when you make a decision, do you stick with it because that was your first instinct and it was probably right, and now you're just second guessing yourself, or is it okay to pivot? And as I've been getting further and further into this, I've leaned more towards, you got to evaluate it, but it's definitely okay to change your mind. So here's here's where I changed. So I was gonna, this is mangled now, but I was gonna, take this rear cross rail off and clean up the back of the frame rail where it mates up. Excuse me, and put a new cross rail on with it's in two pieces of, 4 or 6 if you count the filler pieces inside of here and inside of here, but basically two pieces. And that way we would, be tied into the frame rail, keep that square, and then from there we just cut everything else off and start to fit it up. I'm not working with an unlimited budget. I'm replacing a ton of sheet metal on this car, but I'm kind of doing it as we can afford to spend the money. And I think a lot of you are probably like that. I have trunk floor, 2 outer wheel tubs, 1 inner wheel tub, trunk drop-offs. I have all that already. The floor is already in the car. So basically I had all this stuff in a cart online, and it kind of priced it out with shipping and all that. I was going to spend a ton of money that I really don't have a desire to spend at the moment on parts that I don't have. So I was going to do all this work to prepare for parts that I don't have, that I don't want to spend the money on right now. I know I'm going to have to, but I don't have to right now. So rather than do all this work for parts I don't have, why not just work with the parts I do have? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start cutting this thing apart. I've got the rear end out of it. I've got it up on jack stands on the rockers. We're going to start to little by little take the rear of this car off. So taillight panel's coming off. The center of the trunk's going to come out so I can see where the frame rail is. We're going to take the rest of this off eventually, and we are going to start to cut back the quarter panels so that I can pull the inner and outer wheel tubs out. Probably start on just one side because that's the side I have both for, is the driver's side. And then we'll worry about the passenger side down the road, but that'll give us a nice clean path to slide our new trunk floor in. It'll get our frame rails fully exposed so we can see how bad those are and make sure that they're savable. And I think we're also going to do something with maybe a shock relocation kit, so we'll get to that later on. But for now, I'm going to set the time lapse. I'm going to start hacking away. I'll probably skip around a little bit, but we'll let time lapse kind of show the progress. So now that we've got the car looking like a car again, let's cut it all apart. All right, so quick update. We just jumping ahead a little bit. We obviously pulled all the big pieces out of the center of the trunk, and I've been working with the tedious stuff. So you see all like little spot weld holes here from my spot weld cutter. Just trying to get that off the frame rail. There's still some left up here where it attaches to your wheelhouse, and then this is the multi-layer aspect of it. This is all the bracing for the trunk floor, and then that's obviously where your shock absorber goes, and it would have gone straight across here. Getting it off the seat back was a pain, mangled part of it, but that shouldn't be too hard to fix. And then same thing over here. It's mostly separated from the wheelhouse. I think down here I still have something to get, but I had a mouse nest in there too, a pretty big one that went all the way across in that cavity. So I have that to get off, and I'm trying to do that without mangling the frame rail. So just something to consider. Unfortunately, this side is not as bad. So it's a little thin right there, not too bad, but this is a little bit, it looks kind of crusty, but it's not bad if you look inside of it. If you can make it out on camera, it really isn't bad. It's a little something starting right here, but it's not terrible. That's where this brace comes in, right there. So it's starting to do a little something right there, but it's not bad. This side's a little rough. So we still have some trunk floor on there to get off, but you can see already just how thin that this is. And on the side of it, sort of the same thing, how crusty it is. And make it out on camera now. There's actually daylight right there where it's going through, where your shackles go. See, it's starting to separate right there. That's not great. I can see more above it from this angle of the camera. That's real bad. And I mean, inside it doesn't look any better. It's kind of blown out right there. Over here where that brace comes in, you can see it's completely gone. So this one's going to need some work. I got a plan for that, but I'm not quite ready to start it yet. So for now, we're going to keep on moving ahead with getting the little bits of the trunk out of there, and obviously the biggest pain in the butt spots. Getting that out, and I'm gonna have to brace this up. Probably put a jack stand underneath one side because all this is welded to is the floor underneath there. But just kind of brace this side up because I want to cut this, or the bulk of this quarter panel off, so I can get the wheelhouse out. Kind of cut the quarter panel like here, going across to my cut over there, and kind of leave this side wide open. So I think that's the plan. I'm going to work a little bit more on this, and then I'll throw the tripod back up, and we'll cut 2/3 of our quarter panel off. And by then, that should give me enough room to get all this stuff out. We'll get this out. We'll have to separate this from the trunk hinge. So that'll be just something else to consider. But then from there, we should be able to get it all out, or get the little bits of trunk out, slide the new trunk floor in, see how it looks, and then make a plan for fixing this. Because from here back, it's really, really in good shape, actually. It'll clean up. It'll, maybe a couple spots I want to add a little bit of reinforcement, but not bad at all. So that's the plan. I'm going to work on those little bits, and we'll set up the tripod, and we'll hack off this quarter panel full of Bondo. Well, there it is, about 20% of a Nova in the driveway. So camera died in the middle of cutting out the wheel wells on this, or the wheel tubs on this side, and I just went ahead and kept plugging along. So you kind of see up in here, started to clean up a little bit, but this is pretty solid. It's a little scaly, but it's in good shape. Same thing for here, a couple of little rips where I got a little bit impatient, but all in all, this did really well. And this piece up here as well. Same thing, a little bit of wire wheeling. We should be just fine. I really just kept going. Got all the floor off the frame rails, which, I mean, we mangled this up pretty good. And the metal's actually not bad, so I should be able to bring this back and just weld it back together. little thin right over here. You kind of see where the line is right there. So I'll look into maybe screwing around with that a little bit. Some holes where it tore through. Again, I got a little impatient on this side. This side came out much better. I'm not sure if it was the way it was designed, if the metal's in better shape, but a couple spots I got to grind down, but this side actually held up a lot better. And this is probably the worst spot down here, and it's really not all that bad. The rest of this side is pretty good if you look in there, so I'm pretty happy with that. And this side, once you get past, over here where it's kind of blown through and it's ugly, it's not bad up through here. So we have something we can work with. Maybe a little bit of repair work, but all in all, it's not too bad. Now, unfortunately, I tried to fit the trunk in here, and we got a little hung up on what's left of these wheel houses on this side, and it doesn't fit between these braces for the hinges. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do there. Looks like there's a few spot welds, very obvious spot welds. If we drill out, we may be able to pull that off, and that might give us a little bit of space. But I'll have to play around with that and see what the best option is going to be, because I'd like to get the trunk set in there and then fit the wheel houses in on this side before I cut too much out of this side, because it doesn't look like much, but just having this still attached with what's left of our trunk drop off, which is still tied into the quarter panel a little bit, and tied in over here, which is tied in here and up forward, that gives this side and this frame rail specifically just a little bit of structure, a little bit of something holding it together, whereas this side is only held up by, see everything move a little bit. It's only held up by a jack stand on a bucket. It doesn't weigh much. It's just there's nothing holding it. So I'm going to get to work on that. I'm going to clean this up a little bit, and I'm going to see what I can do as far as fitting in the trunk floor. And I'll set you guys up and show you that when we actually have a way to get her in. All right, guys, I lied to you a little bit. I didn't mean to, but we took everything off of the passenger side, wheel houses, quarter panel, all of it, and we've got what we have, for metal anyway, fit in place. So I'll give you a sneak peek because it's not staying, but this side's gone, and the trunk floor is in its home. Go around this side. It actually fits very, very nicely. Everything's kind of sitting there, and then the wheel houses on this side. So obviously, I don't know if this is perfect, because you won't know until you have a quarter panel, because the quarter panel will wrap into here, and as long as this fits up nice, you're good. Trunk drop off to the bottom of the quarter panel as well in the back. So that's why none of this is going to get welded in, even if I think it's where it needs to be, because until I have everything, specifically, especially the quarter and the rear tail panel and all that, well, and the other wheel house on the other side too. Until I have all that, I'm not going to know for sure that it's where it needs to be, but you can kind of see what we're dealing with. This is pretty well tight up there. It might need to come up just a hair. This is flat up against there, and I haven't cleaned that up yet. So that still has like some bumps in the spot welds. I just got a metal sliver that felt so good. But everything's really fitting. I mean, this structure piece here is sandwiched between the two wheel houses like it's supposed to be. Again, I haven't cleaned that up, so that's a little lumpy. And we ended up drilling out the spot welds. And I don't know if I can get this out of here with one hand. This is really wedged in there. Maybe. That's going to spring. That's kind of sitting where it's supposed to. You can get the idea. It's sitting pretty nicely. So it tells me where we're supposed to be. A couple of little gaps. Little one right there. I got some finagling to do with the trunk drop off just to get it meeting the trunk floor and the wheelhouse the way it needs to. But inside the car, I don't know if you'll be able to make it out or not. It's sitting over top of the floor pan fairly nicely. I think this side over here needs to come down just a little bit, and then I need to clean that up, but that is also meeting where it's supposed to meet. So early returns are positive. Funny story about this. So, 8 spot welds is a little bit of overkill for what this is, but it's reasonable. They're all uniform and evenly spaced, and it kind of looks like something. This side was ridiculous. Those are all spot welds, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, what are it? 3, 5, 6, 9. There's 12 of them. 12 spot welds on this damn thing. So I don't know what happened there, but I choose, because I find it hilarious, and I've seen things like this at my own work, to believe that is a case of malicious compliance, because these cars, despite what we all think of romanticized, were not built by master craftsmen. They're built by kids on a Friday who wanted to go home. this one's all nice and that one is kind of overkill. What I like to think happened is that somebody got a talking to from their boss and were told that their stuff wasn't passing whatever inspection they had back then, or it wasn't holding, or they needed to put more spot welds or whatever. And that kid looked at their boss and said, "You got it, boss, more spot welds." So I find that funny because I see that all the time at work. But that's what we've got. She looks good. I'm going to be pulling this all back out to clean up all the weld surfaces and getting ready to fix the frame rail, which we talked about a little bit. I'll film that in a future video. But I'm really happy with the way it's all fitting together. Anxious to get the rest of the stuff. I mean, you can see on this side, it's more or less down on the frame rail. What little bit it's off, I think I can probably finagle. I mean, that's not even the width of my finger. I can probably push that down and meet that, but it fits really nicely, and I'm pretty happy with it. I didn't do really any screwing around to make that happen. So that's where we're going to leave this one. I'm going to get cleaning up. I think next one, we've got some odds and ends to do. Just kind of things to keep pushing the car along. I know I showed last time we have, the fender on it, the rad support's still in it, brake booster, and we'll be doing some stuff there to kind of make it come together a little bit more. I've got some work to do up in here. Someone butchered this. I'll take care of that. And I want to clean up the rear end finally and probably do the trans cross member too while I have it. So that's the plan. We got some odds and ends to work on going forward until I can bite the bullet and spend a whole shitload of money online to get all the sheet metal we need, because it's a lot. But got enough to do now to keep us busy. So that's going to do it for this one. I'm going to wrap up, clean up, pull the sheet metal back out of the car, and get ready for all the little things that we can all go through together. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like the video, drop a comment down below, subscribe, follow along. It really helps me out. And we will see you guys next time.